And we are live.
Hey!
Hey,
This
good
is so
morning.
exciting. Good morning. Or is it morning? Yes, it's still morning.
Yes,
It is not just morning, it's one of those mornings.
it has been.
But I'm so excited we're finally getting to connect on live and do this. We've been wanting to do this for a little bit.
Yes,
So this is
we
good.
have been. It's good to finally sit here and be like, yes. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I love your energy and like it's posts that I see. So I'm curious how this is gonna be. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you, and I think you're amazing. You know that. So I'm going to jump in. We are live streaming to one of my platforms, but primarily yours. So a lot of people that are catching this, whether it's live or on the replay, may already know about Patrice, right? You may have been following her for quite a bit, but if you're new to her, you need some reminders, or you're looking from my platform, I want to read a quick bio about her because she's absolutely incredible. So there's some things that I want you to know before we dive into today's topic, which we're going to be talking to her about securing success, essential legal documents for business growth. And it's going to turn into a little bit of a series because when we were discussing like how we can best serve people with this topic, we realized there's people at different stages of entrepreneurship. And we want to talk to people at every level of the game that they're at. So without further ado, I'm going to read a little bit about Patrice. So Patrice is a formidable legal expert, real estate investor, and entrepreneur with a deep background in union leadership. Now a chief legal strategist for a pioneering union, her expertise lies in strategic planning, negotiation, and meticulous litigation. Known for her ability to craft winning strategies that maximize benefits and mitigate risks, Patrice excels in reviewing agreements and providing strategic counsel. Patrice she has a hands-on approach, offering personalized advice to ensure her clients not only meet, but exceed their goals with a dedicated, experienced advocate in their corner. So welcome again.
Thank you. I was like, "Ooh, that sounds impressive."
Right? Isn't it nice to hear about ourselves like that? I was like, we are not doing this without you hearing that. Because I mean, there's more we could have listed, but we
Yes,
promised we'd stay within the time limit. So,
yes.
so
Thank you.
let's go ahead and jump right in, Patrice. What is the main thing that you find that you really want entrepreneurs to know, like immediately when they come to you, that maybe they don't already know about how to, be prepared with legal documents?
So my main thing is asking all the questions. Like it is a no judgment zone. So you do not need to feel like you come prepared, regardless of which stage you're at. I find entrepreneurs that are just starting out, some of them, they try to sound as if they're more prepared because it's like, oh, I have this business idea and they want to go with it. And then those that have been doing it for a time period, will say, they have some of their stuff together. And my biggest thing is just being raw, being open. I try to be very personable so we know exactly where we need to start. I have in my mind like the 3 foundational documents I always say that entrepreneurs should have on hand. But we talk about what your business is like and what your operations are like. So for success, being open and honest, with whoever your legal counsel is, whether it's myself or someone else. I always say you can't. What's that saying? Your doctor and your lawyer, the two professionals in your life.
Yeah, and your tax advisors and all those. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think a lot of times people put the stuff off because they are embarrassed or they are feeling a certain way because maybe they waited a little while to do it and then it just gets worse and worse. I mean,
Yep.
So what I love about you is that you are someone who you can tell is that non-judgmental, but hey, I will tell you that you got to get this done, right? But you're not going to say, why didn't you? And then they're because we're already thinking, right? Entrepreneurs are already thinking like, oh, I should have done this and this, but we don't know what we don't know, right?
And that's part of it too. I think people miss like, yes, my expertise is in, the legal strategy and what you should have in place, etc. But they miss the fact as well that I am an entrepreneur too, right? So I understand what it means when you are rushing and doing the things to make the money, and not necessarily thinking of, what others will refer to as a safety nets, and what that looks like, in the backdrop. So I know what that means, or how it feels. So I don't do that. Like we have, I joke around with, Carla or Kelly, and, Kelly, I tell her, I'm like, I don't ask me about my numbers. You know, like, so we all have those areas that you're going to need,
Yeah.
the help in. So I cannot judge, people when I see that, when I know what that looks like. I know what the fear of, like, oh, if I don't say anything, like I shouldn't say anything because I feel bad because I didn't have these things in line. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
you're
love
right.
that.
Like, I'll yank you up too. I'll be like, "Oh, okay, like let's get it together," but I'm not going to judge you,
Yeah.
in what you're doing.
Yeah, well, and I think that comes from the side where you're really taking care of people. You're ensuring like whatever we need to do sometimes to get through to people so you can protect them, right? Sometimes we
Yes.
have to really take a stand for our clients in that way.
Mhm.
So I love that you do that. So you mentioned the 3 foundational documents. So can you share with everyone, anything about that, like what they are, or what anything you want to say about that? Mhm.
So my biggest thing, operating agreement, your service contract, if you're a service provider, whatever you do, have a contract that is for you, that you give to your vendors, your customers, whomever you work with, and then your capital contribution documents. So the and I'll break those down a little bit. The operating agreement, that is a contract between you and your business. It lays out what you can do, what authority you have, what you shouldn't do, and how the business will protect you, as a person. So I tell people, think of it like it's your constitution, right? Like when you think of the US government, the federal government, they can only do things based on what the constitution gives them power to do. And that's what your operating agreement is, which means you can change it as your business grows, as you expand or contract, as you niche down in whatever you're looking to do. The operating agreement should be reviewed so that you can make sure it aligns with what your practice is. And so the main idea behind that, you are separate from your business, right? Like your business is a whole different entity. It may be your baby, but it is
Yeah.
not you. So that document creates that legal barrier of protection, for you and your business. So that's the first one.
Mhm.
Um, I've seen mistakes where people will grab a template offline, and I've reviewed operating agreements that they reference a statute. And I'm like, what statute is this? And I go look it up, and it's like a statute in Tennessee, and they're based in Pennsylvania. Not the same thing,
Oh my.
not the same requirements. So be careful, with those templates. But that's one of the number one, and that's more protecting you and your own wealth, or what you have vis-a-vis where what may happen with your business.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
that's the first one.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you for breaking that down. And
Mm.
so, do you think that there is like anything in particular? Because I know we want to stay in the time frame of
Yeah.
everything. So I'm like, what do we really want them to know? Because when we talk about like the different stages of entrepreneurship people are in, I mean,
Mhm.
let's start here. Like, what stage of entrepreneurship, what type of entrepreneur are you serving the most right now?
Right now, a lot of service providers. I have service
Mhm.
providers and real estate investors. And so their needs are a little different. The service provider, one of the main documents I said, is a contract that you present to people. So whatever your services are, I would say have your contract that you set the tone, for them. The real estate investor is a little different because depending
Mhm.
on what you're buying, you have yes, the set clauses that you can use. When it comes to purchasing a property or selling a property. So that
Okay.
takes a little bit more, nuancing. You can't have a set document there. But service providers are one of my bigger clientele at this point. And
Mhm.
I've had to, when we talk about yanking up with love, I've had to do that with a few of them because they are quick to be like, yes, we're agreeing to do this. And all they have negotiated is what the cost is and when payment should be made.
Mm.
And so there's a lot of other things in between, and you don't necessarily need to get bogged down with that. But if you are a service provider, you present your contract, you set that tone, right? Like you already set out your terms. Here's what I'm dealing with.
Mhm.
So, yes, I get it. When the business is hot or someone's ready to sign, you don't want to, interrupt that flow with here's this long document.
Mhm.
But depending on how you present your business, we can put it as part of your terms and service, your terms and conditions on your website, or you have it as a pop-up that they have to read through before they get to the payment. There are different ways to work through it, but definitely have that in place.
And if somebody wanted to work with you because they are like, okay, she may not be working with what time and space I'm in entrepreneurship that often, but I really like her. I want to work with her. I mean, how like at what point can they work with you, and at what like in what ways, depending on where they're at.
So there are different options. I do have, templated documents that I have vetted, I have read through, and some of them have tips. So if you are an entrepreneur that's starting out, where like I cannot, afford this, but I do know I need these documents. We can set up, a time where we can talk about like what your operations look like. I always tweak my templates based on who I'm sending them to. So I do put that time in. I don't just be like, here it is, go figure it out. Because I want people to still have access to legal services without having to worry about the full cost behind it. So I always say set up a discovery call. We can talk about what documents may work for you, what your services look like, and then we can go there whether you decide to, okay, I only need a template, or let's talk about like getting that foundational package together. So that's more for the beginning entrepreneur when you're starting out and setting the stage if you do not have that budget. Ideally, I always say, I have monthly packages where you don't, for the, more experienced entrepreneur, where you don't have to be watching your hourly clock. You don't have to be watching the clock to be like, oh,
Mhm.
she's charging hourly. I only ask certain questions. It's a one flat rate.
Mhm.
Um, and you can call and we talk because I'd rather you gut check, what you're doing. I always say, I'm like, every business decision is a legal decision because there's going to be a legal impact. So I don't want there to be that anxiety or angst towards reaching out and be like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Like, what should I be conscientious of? Um,
Yeah, it feels like to me too, when we talk about how you're saying every agreement is a business agreement, like every decision is a business agreement, that
mhm.
having someone like you on retainer as soon as we can get there is the route that you want to aim for. You want to go there
Yes.
immediately if you can,
Mhm.
or aim for it and have it in your sights as soon as you can. Because if we don't know what we don't know, then if
Mhm.
we're having, these discussions month to month, week to week, however, you advise. I mean, I
Mhm.
definitely think that that's going to keep us in business, right?
Yeah.
Because you can be in business and be doing great, but, again, we don't know what we don't know. And someone
Mhm.
like you is very important to be a part of our business
Yeah,
is
because
what I
unfortunately, the old saying, "An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure." And I've
Mhm.
unfortunately been called into situations where they were doing it on their own and things seemed fine, or they had someone, give them something, years ago, and they just have been using that since. And then someone gets upset and there's a lawsuit, or there is a complaint made with a government agency, and now it's like, what do we do? And if you are not, if I'm not on retainer, I will
Mhm.
charge hourly for that. And that is not, you know, a cheap process.
No bueno. I mean, maybe for you.
And even then, as
But
an
even not
attorney,
for you, yeah.
yeah, I
Mhm.
absolutely hate billable hours. I hate it.
Yeah,
You're right. It's where the
yeah.
money is. And that's
Mhm.
why attorneys do it because we are selling our time. But
Yeah,
I hate it. I'd rather, the
definitely.
value behind, like, let's have this genuine, like, thorough conversation about what's happening. As I said, I may yank you up a little bit in there. We're gonna
Mhm.
soothe you a bit in there, but then you walk away knowing, what your
Yeah.
options are.
Yeah, I feel like the length of time that we have with our clients, the longer we get to know our clients, the more we can do for them, the better we can serve them, because we know more about you. We understand more about what's going on the back end. We understand your personality and how you work best, how you understand best, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So, oh, wonderful. Kaisha, oh, and she's amazing. She says, I definitely would like to have a conversation about this and the service I provide. So I'm going to make sure to connect you too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely I feel like this is, I'm really happy that, we're doing this series so we can bring it more to the forefront, Oh, hey, Carla. Oh, I love this. I can't see the comments on my end. So this is good. Yeah. Let me see. Okay, now I can. I clicked on the right spot. But yeah, okay. So we're getting ready to close out this live. So definitely, okay, yes, Kaisha, I am going to 100% connect you to. She's an incredible business owner. She owns a publishing service. So, and so anyway, let's talk about, before we go, anything that you think that is really important that you would like to leave with the audience, and then also maybe a little teaser about what you want to share on the next live. And by the way, everyone who's watching, who is a part of Get Seen, the membership, this is who's doing our workshop next week in our membership. So I'm really excited for you to pour into the group too. But yeah, share with everyone any last thoughts, and also where they can find you.
So where you can find me on any of the streaming platforms, wherever you're looking at it now, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, Patrice Tisdale. You search it, you'll find me. Typically have Patrice Tisdale Esquire behind it. I think on Facebook, though, I am Teresa Tisdale. This is where when we talk about, I'm an entrepreneur that's still getting other portions of my business in order. That's one of them.
That's okay. You can be fun, Tracy, too. I mean, that's what I love about you. That's what I love about you, because you are about your business, but I feel like I can connect to you, and that people can connect to you, because we can feel like that there's a lack of stuffiness there, right? You're not like, and then you're like, oh, I'm scared because I'm not perfect with these documents I should have had. It's like, okay, she knows her stuff, and she's not going to judge me, and she's going to make sure I get myself in order. So, we got to show our human side, and you do a very good job of that. And
thank you.
Yeah.
So Teresa Tisdale on Facebook, Patrice Tisdale, where I'm trying to be a little bit more professionalist on LinkedIn, at Real Law ESQ on Instagram. But when we talk about the not stuffy, don't come to my Instagram with foolishness. Instagram and TikTok is where I'm like, you get Tracy. Like you're gonna get the mix of the Jamaican, the full and the everything else. But pulling back in terms of leaving entrepreneurs just business owners in general. Again, do not be afraid to seek the assistance and the help that you want. Do not be afraid, and do not come and present like, oh, because I make an X amount, I need to present this particular way. One of the things, some of the things we've been talking about, and given my current role, is looking at team membership or your team makeup as a business owner. So I would be, put it out there to say, make sure that your team is set up in a way that is legally sound for you. And part of that is your contracts, that you have in place. So we're going to be talking about some of these things, as you said, in the group next week, talking about, because part of the life cycle is a contract that you have with your vendors, not just about your service, so some people will focus on that and have their service contract, which is great. But if you are taking on team members, you should have, and it doesn't need, again, to be a long flowing, document, but have boundaries and have them clear as to how they operate amongst your team. But
Hold on one sec. We ran over again on the
Oh no.
So I had to send that message out. I heard
Yeah.
everything you were sharing at the same
No,
time.
you're fine.
Multitasking moments. Okay.
That's what we do.
So y'all connect with
Yes.
Tracy, connect with Patrice. She's absolutely incredible. I'm so excited for next week. And thank you so much for this. This was amazing. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye, all.